Hi, it's Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio. And today I am working on the Creative Arts Collaboration hashtag event Love Fall Art 2017. And I decided that today I would create some ATCs. So I'm doing two ATCs that are fairly similar. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to send one off to a lovely YouTube friend, Jean Bainey, who has recently celebrated achieving 500 subscribers. So I thought I'd do one for her and one for me. So I just cut some mixed media paper to size 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and I'm just using some of this Deco Art fluid medium in a green, just to start my background off. And I was just adding some water. I sprayed some water to start and then put the colour down and added some more water. So I'm now taking the quinacridone gold and just putting this on in a couple of spots, and again you'll see I add some water and just use my brush to roughly spread it. The bottom layer was still wet because I did want them to mix a bit to create that lovely deep dark colour there, and I'm not trying to spread the gold out entirely. So I give those a dry, and they will of course dry lighter, and you can see that there. And I do like the way these colours give that kind of almost a rust type look together. Because as part of autumn, what I'm trying to do, or fall as you may call it, I'm just trying to create those colours where things are kind of changing between summer and autumn. So still with hints of green, but also very much turning those lovely coppers and browns. So I'm going to use a stencil here, and I've got some texture paste. And I've just mixed in some of this pigment, which is actually called autumn leaf. So mixing those together, and I'm going to apply that through the stencil. Now, I got this stencil from, or in one of the craft boxes that I got a while ago. I don't actually know who the maker is, but it's quite a lovely stencil, quite fine. It's the first time I've used it, and really quite pleased with the way that it turns out. Because I was using the kind of texture paste, I did actually wash the stencil right away afterwards, because it's quite a fine stencil and I didn't want any texture paste drying on it and wasting it. I should do that with all my stencils, but I don't. So as I say, I'm trying to make the two cards very similar, although ever so slightly different. So now giving that a quick dry, and quite pleased with the way that that's turned out. So I'm now taking this transparent yellow oxide, and these are two leaves that also came from one of my craft boxes, and they're slightly raised in places, you know, they're embossed. And what I want to do is just put this colour all over both leaves, and I do it front and back. So that's them done. And now back to my cards, and I decided what I want to do here is to put a bit of a glaze over them. So again, I'm still using that transparent yellow oxide, and I mix it in with some acrylic fluid medium, and this will just create a bit of a glaze. Not putting a lot of that in, but just enough to give it just a little tint of colour. Giving it a good mix, and then I'll apply it over both cards quite liberally, but at the same time I do try to smooth it out. So setting those off to the side, and I'm now taking an embossing pad and copper embossing powder. And what I'm hoping to do is mainly to get the kind of raised bits on the leaves, and I'll then apply the embossing powder to them. I know that it'll probably go a little bit further, and that's absolutely fine. I just didn't want the whole thing covered. So I'll just put that back in the tub. And then just use my heat gun to activate the powder on each leaf. So now giving the cards a quick dry with the glaze, although it's not perfectly dry, but that's fine. And I'm just going to go around the edges of each card with the embossing ink, and I'm now going to put the same embossing powder around each of those. Now I know that because the card isn't entirely dry, it will stick in one or two other areas as well, and again that's absolutely fine. So shake those off, I put the powder away, and then what I do is just to take a dry paintbrush and just take it off where there's just too much sitting on it. And again, I use my heat gun just to activate it. And really what I'm doing here is just trying to create a border. So just looking now at where I'll place the leaf on each card, and adding a bit more, another kind of layer with some of this Inca Gold. One is in brown and the other is a yellow green. And all I want to do is to apply it with my finger just to pick up some of those raised areas where the texture paste is. And this just helps add a bit of definition and a bit more interest to the card. And then what I'll also do is to take the two leaves and I will apply just a touch to them, so a bit of brown on the main body of each leaf, and then I'll take a bit of the yellow green and just apply it round the edges. So again, just trying to pick up that hint of the leaves actually changing from green through kind of copper to yellow. Then just using a piece of kitchen towel just to give it a very soft buff up. It just picks up any excess that's sitting there. I then take that same kind of glazing medium and just touch little parts of each leaf. So now that everything's dry, I'm going to put a leaf on each card, and I'm just using some of the Aleene's tacky glue to put those on. And I will also take a chit chat phrase from the Tim Holtz collection and put a phrase on each. So as I say, I've tried to keep these two cards fairly similar, but made them just ever so slightly different because I want to keep one for myself and send one to Jean Bainey to celebrate her having achieved 500 subscribers. And I'll leave a link to Jean's channel below, so please do check her out. So just making sure that I've got those in place. I go over the leaves as well, but you know, try and do it gently so that I don't press it down completely. I don't want to flatten the leaf where it's got the kind of raised embossed pieces on it. So I hope you've enjoyed my contribution for #LoveFallArt2017. Remember, you can check out all the other artists by using the hashtag in the search bar of YouTube. So just putting some final touches on now, using a fine line marker just to go around the edges, just showing you the difference there between the two. I had to put my head down quite close to get it done, so I switched the camera off because all you would have seen was the back of my head. And just taking some black StazOn ink and just quickly going around those edges. So if you didn't check out my video from the day before, yesterday, which was another art hop, then I'll leave a link above so you can see it. So as always, thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.